have a request from the Iraqi government for air power.
You do?
We do. And
do you think it's in our national security interest to honor that request?
It is in our national security interest to counter ISIL wherever we find them.
Launched off the flight deck of the aircraft carrier, the USS George H.W. Bush, we have F-A-18 fighter jets handling and flying surveillance missions over Iraq now.
Give me a scenario where political reconciliation in Baghdad has a snowball's chance of hell of succeeding as long as they're losing on the battlefield.
This is an Iraqi civil war, and it's time for the Iraqis to resolve it themselves.
Charles.
Graham is right that without success on the battlefield, if the government is collapsing, Sunnis and Kurds are not going to join it. They're not going to jump on a sinking ship. But the opposite is also true, and David Petraeus has said, and he knows Iraq as well as anybody, that unless you have the political reconciliation, nothing that you do militarily will succeed. This is a catch-22. As Steve says, it is a direct result of Obama's abdication and withdrawal without leaving anything behind in Iraq, and telling the Iraqis that he really didn't care, that America would withdraw and leave it to whatever was going to happen. As a result, there are no good options. What we can do, I think, is to work assiduously and perhaps behind the scenes to try to get an inclusive government. There is an opportunity because parliamentary elections have just been held. Maliki did not do that well. He had the most, but not enough for a majority. So there is the opportunity for a coalition, and that can be put together either with or without Maliki. Again, I would say you send former Ambassador Ryan Crocker, who brokered a lot of these in the past, to work on that. But at the same time, if there is a breakout of ISIS where it looks as if it's going to take Baghdad, then I think we will be compelled to do something even prior to reconciliation.
You know, Crocker said Secretary Kerry should be on a plane to Baghdad, so I don't know if he's taken the job or not, but I know you mentioned it.
But somebody of authority, and I would leave out the Vice President, should be on a plane right now and working on that and not issuing pronouncements out of the White House. That will have no effect since we have no leverage.
This was the fog of war. You know, my own assessment careened from, you know, the video had something to do with it, the video had nothing to do with it. It may have affected some people, it didn't affect other people. There's no doubt terrorists were involved. There is no doubt. But others were either motivated because of their extremism and their ideology, and others came along for the ride, and maybe others also were motivated by the video.
There's nobody that I spoke to that was associated with this attack or investigated this attack that thought that the video played any role whatsoever. The facts depicted a different narrative than what was conveyed post-Benghazi to the American public.
Take another listen to this part, Charles, Ansar al-Sharia. So I guess the question is, why is the State Department telling the Libyans, the Libyan ambassador was Ansar al-Sharia, and yet telling the American people at the same time it was this video?
Well, Brett, I think that you have to take both ideas at the same time. I don't know anybody who was saying it is only the video now. But I think at the time there was a lot of information flowing around that we were trying to assess, that at least it played a part.
Charles.
That's known as a flail. She had no answer to that. It was a pointed question. Your own State Department is saying, Beth Jones, Acting Assistant Secretary, Near East Affairs, telling the Libyans it's the terror group Ansar al-Sharia, and your State Department issues a statement that it's the video. Is a direct contradiction. She had no answer. She said you have to hold both ideas, and then she goes off. But there's nowhere to hide on this. And clearly on the Sunday when Susan Rice goes on and says it's the video, she says, I don't know anybody who was saying it's only the video. Well, she says now, but at the time that's what they said. There wasn't a lot of careening. It was a lot of video, and we know it was a false narrative. I think that was her weakest moment, and it showed what a direct question will do, unlike the questioning she got in Congress that was all over the place.
has been a Sunfish production.